If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
We stand for Queen,
country, and video games. BRB UK.
Worse teeth,
better accents.
Welcome to episode 255 of the BigRedBarel UK podcast. I am not Dan, I am a Coleman. Hi!
Hang on a second. You're not Dan.
I am not Dan. That's why I said I'm not a Dan in the intro there, Tim. It's very observant.
I thought you may have been saying that just to throw me off the scent.
Okay, this voice here is the one, the only, the Mr. Timothy Kenneth James Hibbs.
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. Christopher Coleman.
No! I've been middle named! Damn you for having to co-sign my passport photos. I'm going to beep that.
What, you're going to beep?
Yeah.
Are you going to beep it every time I say?
Totally.
So if I say you'll beep it all 3 times?
Yeah, if it's in context, then I will beep it every single time.
Brilliant.
My middle name must not be publicly available.
Okay.
Because that's how identities get stolen, Tim.
Take to the forums, everyone. I'll reveal it there.
Can I tell you about the brilliant day I've had?
I guess.
So, I need a new passport for identification purposes at work.
That's generally what you need a passport for, identification purposes.
Well, I usually travel of some variety.
It's still identification purposes.
Yeah, needed a photo identification, so I had to go to the passport office and pay, I think it's around about £150 to get the... Yeah, that's so you can get the fast track, so you literally walk in, you have all your stuff filled out, you go up, they fill it out, and then you wait, and then they'll print out a passport for you, and you go out the door, happy as Larry. And I walked in and I did my fast track and I had an appointment time and stuff, and first of all I turned up early and they went, "Oh, you're too early, come back another time." So I come back another time. They said to be 15 minutes early. If I was 15 minutes early, then that'll have enough time to get me processed and through and stuff. So I turn up 15 minutes early, then I have to join a queue. The queue lasts 45 minutes. Then I come to the first desk. By the way, Satan's breeding ground is the passport queue. I found out today. But then I have to go to a desk and a woman goes, "You're late." So then she prints me off a slip of paper that says £150 paid, go upstairs and wait. And then I go upstairs and I wait, and then my number's called out and I go to a kiosk and the woman goes, "Oh, you're not eligible for fast track."
What?
Yeah.
Why'd you charge me for it then?
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. It's like, could we not have had this conversation before I turned up to do this today? It was quite a big chunk of my day to do this. So they had to downgrade me, so I don't get my fast track. I don't get my passport today. I get it in a week's time.
Right.
And, you know, the £150 that I've had to pay instead of, I don't know, what is it, like £40, £60 to get a passport?
You don't get that back.
I don't get that back. They keep that.
Yeah, no.
Gits.
That's the type of criminal behaviour that only government organisations can get away
that's
with.
the kind of criminal behaviour you can expect from Her Majesty.
Yeah, like literally any other organisation, that would be illegal.
Yeah. Anyway, I had to vent that because that...
I assume that's coming in with a Papers, Please crossover at some point. Basically.
Yeah, kind of
Coleman's passport of experience.
Do you want to know the best bit about it?
You will not call me
For one of the very few times in my life, I have been escorted off the premises.
Oh!
Yes.
Oh!
Yes. Said some colourful language. Anyway, that's been my week. that's been my day. Fun. Anyway, we haven't got a Dan.
No Dan.
No, life got in the way. Life found a way to get in the way. And
I don't even think we can blame Destiny this weekend.
No, not Destiny. It's just general life problems from Dan. So
he's gone back to vanilla Destiny, or normal Destiny 1.0 rather than 1.5, and maybe we've lost him again for another 6 months.
He's incrementally doing all the updates.
PhD, allegedly.
Yeah, but anyway, no Dan this week. Go send him good vibes. Captain Average on Twitter, and say you miss him, and then he should be back next week. And if not,
although he won't be.
Oh, is he not?
No, he's not back next week.
Damn it.
We've already got a guest lined up. We don't have to two-man it next week. I say guest. It's a returning, regular guest. But
listeners, send Dan good vibes and then pressure him into coming back.
And then pressure him in a week or so's time.
Yeah, we don't want him going missing for a half a year or whatever it is this time. Anyway, Tim, it has been a slow news week. One of those slow news weeks.
Slow news week.
So something that we were missing off the last show, because because the news kind of came out on the day of publishing, so we missed out on this. But I received an email as a PlayStation Plus subscriber of Sony's service.
What did you say, Coleman?
Did you receive an email, Tim?
I don't remember, but my email's a bit of a battleground.
You do have a minefield of an inbox, yeah. Control A, delete, and then start afresh. You're good.
No, there's so much. I don't know what to do anymore with that, but hey.
Anyway, the email that was sent out, and you've probably heard this by now, there is a price increase for the PlayStation Plus service for the UK and the rest of the EU while we're still a part of the EU. Anyway, I believe it was the US that got the price hike last year.
Yeah, and it did seem that we were possibly missing out on this. And it'd always been historically that we kind of played the pound price for how much they paid in dollars, basically. Yeah. So it was always a little unfair. And for the last, however long it was between the two price hikes, I think longer than a year since they had it, I think, it's been a bit of a fairer equation. A lot of people blaming Brexit, and I'd love to heap more misery on Brexiteers and do so, but I don't think that's the case.
No, it's not just us, it's the EU. So from the 31st of August is where the subscription price increase is going to take place. Before then, you can stockpile on as much PlayStation Plus credit you need, or you can go over to voucher sites and whatever and pick up as many as you need. I know a couple of people that have been looking at Amazon deals and stuff and have picked up like £200 worth of all the money you can and store it for a rainy day.
Yeah, but see, that's got to be good for Sony, no? Like the fact that they get a load of money for increasing their prices.
Oh yeah, totally. And then because the PlayStation 4 still sells to new players all the time, so as well as these people going out and panic buying credit, then you've got the new people that are signing up to the more expensive service as well. So I guess it's win-win on their part. But anyway, the annual subscription, which I don't think I've ever bought an annual subscription. I should really do that to save money.
You really should.
Yeah, it's going up from $39.99 to $49.99 or €59.99.
I don't pay in euros, Coleman.
I don't think that's that bad. £50 a year? All those games?
It's difficult because you'd have to say if the price of Xbox Live was fair in the previous generation, then paying £10 more now probably isn't that bad a deal. Some people have said it's Sony being a bit arrogant and hubris showing again that they think they can just do this. And then a lot of people are complaining that it shouldn't just go up this much without you getting anything else in return for it type of thing. I can kind of see all of those arguments to a degree, especially when it's going up by 25% increase kind of thing. I mean, it's a fairly hefty increase for the price. Like going from 40 to 45 would have been a bit more tolerable, and it keeps it a bit further away from that nasty £50 price kind of thing. Because I don't know about you, it's like, it may be the gamer in me, but I'm like, that's a game. That's a full price game that I'm paying just so I can play the rest of my games online. And I have to say, at the moment, that's a much better deal for me than the current deal I'm getting paying for my Xbox Live type stuff, because I'm not really using that anywhere near as much as I'm using my PlayStation. So arguably, it's actually made me not think of cancelling my PS4 subscription, if I can get the word out. But it's actually made me thinking of cancelling my Xbox one, which is probably even better news for Sony. But it's a bit of a sharp increase. I'm curious, though, if this is a telling sign of something else that we've been saying that Sony should do. And if it is, might not be the best approach to it. But do you think there's a possibility that we will now see PlayStation Now, not later, now, actually become part of PlayStation Plus?
I'd love that, but if they do that, I think they would go for PlayStation Plus Premium or something. Yeah. Something that includes the two, which I'd totally pay for, because I'd use that.
But they've probably done the sums and worked out how many people would upgrade to a premium package just to get that, and how many people will drop out of the whole thing and not go for the online stuff and everything else and pay the bigger price. I don't know, but it would make sense in terms of the numbers, possibly, that a £10 increase would kind of cover the costs that they're probably losing out on if they made PlayStation Now free. And it would also make them more directly competitive with what's going on Xbox with the whole backwards compatibility stuff as well.
Yeah. The other subscription prices are the quarterly's gone up from $14.99 to $19.99. $24.99 in euros, and the monthly subscription's gone up from $5.99 to $6.99 or $7.99 in euros.
Whoa.
I don't think it's that bad. inflation's a thing.
Yeah.
I know it's quite a jump to go from £40 to £50, but I still don't see £50 a year being that bad.
When you weigh it up again for the price for what you get in return for that, it's not just the ability to play online, it is the games you get every month.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say with that is, as much as, like, you know, there's 2 games for each system. I don't know about you, since I got my PS4, I think I've turned my PS3 on once and then not really played it.
Yeah, I just wish they would stop with the PS3 games and just add, like, another Vita and another PS4 game, maybe.
Because that's pretty much dead value to me, and it's kind of, like, reminding me of the Vita. I probably haven't played half the games they've given me or more. I like it, and they do give some good games on it, you know, away every now and again, so that's not too bad. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be getting any more new games from my Vita for the last, 6 months a year or so, basically. That's not too bad. Where I'm finding it a bit more difficult with the PS4 stuff is they still don't have that many big PS4 games coming to it. I would have imagined that it would have got up to more in line with what we had previously in the PS3 generation. And I still don't think it's quite there in terms of the quality of game we're getting on the PS4 every month. And I'm not, quality is perhaps the wrong word, but size and scope of game possibly. And I don't know about you, like, there are a number of indie games and PlayStation first-party type stuff that I've been more reticent to buy because I'm aware that they're more likely to come on PS Plus at some point. But on the opposite side of that, I'm finding a lot of the time that the games that they do have, last month was Until Dawn, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, or the month before, I'm not sure.
Great game and everything, but I already own it.
Yeah, I mean, that is a risk to the whole... I mean, there's so many games that... Even this month, Just Cause 3 is a cracking game, but I already own it. But that's then me going out and going, hey, Just Cause 3 is on PlayStation Plus. Go download it. That's a lot of fun. But I dip out. Then there's months that happens to other people. Or there's new games that get launched on PlayStation Plus. Like the kind of Jackbox party game we were playing.
That's you.
That was a really good game. That was a nice surprise.
Yeah, that was good. But it's a good idea to give away the first one of those so that everyone's already got the app installed and all that type of stuff. That made sense. And I wish they'd do a bit more of that with some of their other platforms. I mean, there tend to be some VR stuff that goes for free anyway, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to give a VR game, and that's just me as a VR gamer speaking, but they haven't done that yet, for instance. And like I said, they just don't seem to have that many large PS4 games that they're, regularly going with the service. That said, it's been a couple of good months.
Yeah, it does seem to have turned around a lot. Like I say, each month, doesn't matter what they put up, you get a Twitter wall full of people going, this is crap. This is rubbish. I'm going to cancel my PlayStation Plus, although I need it for the online service. So, hey, my PlayStation Plus is the online service. Like, I'm not too bothered about the games. They're a happy bonus. I'm paying for the online because I play things like Destiny and GTA Online and, things that require the online service.
Right. PlayStation made a slight rod for their own back in the previous generation by providing that service for free.
Yeah, but it was a bad service.
And everyone pretty much universally agreed, as much as you're giving me for free, and that's good and everything, I'd rather pay for a better service. And that was kind of the general consensus, at least amongst the kind of the hardcore gamers that are playing for PlayStation Plus on general basis sort of thing. Where I think it's worse still is for people that aren't as hardcore gamers as us kind of thing. It's an extra £10 now, and it's probably worth less to them than it is to us, even though they probably get access to more games than we do through the games that we've bought kind of thing. But at the same time, they're less likely to play a lot of those games possibly. So what
if, just to play devil's advocate here, what if that price increase does go, it is shown in the quality of the product? What if, this trend of, we've had like 3 months of pretty decent titles. So what if that carries on forward? What if that's what the price hike shows?
Yeah, and maybe... to the other side of things as well, maybe it's not including PlayStation Now, and that's not going to be an addition that comes to it. Maybe it is just simply the fact that in the PS4 generation so far, Sony have found it more difficult to negotiate a lower price type thing for getting a game on the service. Perhaps game developers have noticed that the sales drop off dramatically afterwards, and they need more compensation for doing that type of thing. I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of speculating as to why they would think, right, okay, we need to raise more funds from this so that we can actually deliver, a constant stream of good, high quality games type thing.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on because it was meant to be a talk about the increase, and we've ended up just discussing PlayStation Plus and how it should work.
Well, that's fine. We led into that.
It's the discussion podcast. While Dan's away, the boys will play. Excellent. Also this week, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, it depends how you look at it, but it's definitely been one of the most entertaining pieces of news for me because of comment sections. And they have been alight with the news that EA have merged Bioware Montreal, them that made the Mass Effect Andromeda, with Motive Studios, which is one of EA's own internal studios.
Right. Do we know what Motive did before?
They're currently working on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and an unannounced project.
I think the whole of EA is currently working on Star Wars Battlefront.
That's fair enough, but it's the studio that's headed up by Jade Raymond, who used to be the Ubisoft exec.
Right.
They've merged. It's after the reports, obviously, BioWare, the Mass Effect series, it's been put on hold because of the underwhelming release of BioWare Montreal's Mass Effect Andromeda. We've heard all the rumors, we've heard all the gossip, we've heard all the stories. We haven't really had anything official. Do we actually know if Mass Effect's officially been shelved, or is this still hearsay? Because I don't remember reading anything that said it to that effect.
I don't know if we've read anything
outside of like Kotaku going, sources say.
Yeah, I cannot categorically state whether that's the case or not, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of at the very least, the kind of follow-up information that's happened from that seems to indicate that that's the case. Yeah. Like they not planning any one-player DLC and stuff like that, and single-player DLC. But on a bit of news though, just checking out the Motive thing that we were talking about, Motive Studios. As we said, led by Jade Raymond, noticed that they've had a new addition to the team recently, by the looks of things, in Kim Swift.
Oh, right.
Who, if you don't know, previously worked with Valve on Portal and Left 4 Dead 1 or 2. Yeah. So that's another good addition to the team, basically.
K-Swift.
K-Swift.
Taylor Swift.
They're not the ones working on a definite other Star Wars project, are they? They're the one... Sorry.
They are working, right, they're working on Star Wars. They're one of the teams that are partly working on Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, as I said, everyone in EA is doing that. Right, they say original IP for EA.
Yeah.
Is building new original IP for EA. Yeah. And as collaborating with DICE on the next installment of Star Wars Battlefront. Okay. So, yeah, a new IP, whether that IP is actually Star Wars as well or not, we're not sure.
It makes sense, though. BioWare Montreal, the name's been kind of dragged through the mud after Mass Effect Andromeda, and poor reviews and complaints about glitches and eyes moving where they shouldn't, or looking like they're made of glass, and just all these different issues, and it's all been attributed back to the same studio, so it makes sense to merge them. You've got a team of people, they're not idiots, it's very difficult to code and develop. I couldn't even fathom making a video game. I find it hard doing a website and plugins and stuff.
It's literally another language in mathematics, almost, kind of thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't think enough people appreciate that a modern, especially a massive game, but a modern video game in general is a literal miracle stacked on top of another miracle stacked on top of another miracle.
So they're clearly talented people. They've got some knowledge. Sticking them with another studio, it's only going to benefit. They're going to help each other out.
Yeah, and we know that Jade Raymond's experienced at leading good teams and getting big games out of big teams. No?
Okay, moving on. This is the one you were pretty excited about, Mr. Hibbs.
Well, this was sent in by Mr. Will Driver. So sending in some news this week. And it kind of added to some news that we'd already heard earlier in the week as well.
That Will Driver, you can see his stripes, but he's clean. Anyway, so you may have heard previously that Gfinity, they're the British eSports organiser. They're the more popular one we have here. They've taken over a couple of cinemas and they branded them as their eSports arenas. They're cinemas.
Taken over and branded them. Yeah. It sounded like it was done in revolutionary style. Like they stormed the cinema and captured it for themselves.
It's like what's the old film where the Russians invade and they're all like Wolverines? And it's got Charlie Sheen in it. And
Oh, the one they remade really badly recently.
Yeah, with Hemsworth in it.
Oh, I can't remember the name.
Anyway,
I know the one.
yeah, they did that. Anyway, yeah, so they've been known as being the more popular one in the UK. We found out recently that there's a deal between BBC Three to show Gfinity eSports events. Is it this week or just today, in fact?
I think it was today that it was announced.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
So it's been announced that Gfinity has also partnered with BT Sport to broadcast its Elite Series tournament in the UK. So this is a tournament of multiple different games, not like a Dota or something, like loads of different categories. So that should be an interesting get. Now, BT Sport, you're a BT user, Tim.
I am a BTer.
I just watch what you put on the telly. I don't actively flick through channels and haven't for some
You're
time.
not the couch commander.
I am
is
not.
What you're saying.
I'm not allowed to touch the remote. I get my hand smacked. So, how's this going to work then? It's going to be on BBC Sport 3.
BBC 3.
Sorry, BT Sport 3.
Okay, right, but it's on BT Sport 3 and
BBC 3. Now, BBC 3 isn't a channel anymore; it's an online service.
Yeah, so I guess they're showing it online. I guess I don't know the exact details on this, but yeah, I mean, BT Sport is generally available to all BT Sport customers. You have to be a subscriber, but if you're already a broadband customer, you get it fairly cheap, basically. I've elected more recently to just stick with my BT and cancel my Sky because it kind of suits me. And this is another thing that I guess I might watch a bit of. But I don't know about you, like, there's something that feels inherently correct about watching esports online and doesn't necessarily feel right in TV kind of.
Well, I don't know. I think
just
we
because
just
of history, possibly.
I mean, kind of like if you look historically at our game coverage, not looking at like Go 8-bit and that sort now. More recently, the kind of thing that we've had is Bravo. And they just kind of stick the lad stuff on there. They've got the wrestling and the boobs and the Danny Dyers. But they used to have a bit of video game coverage on there. And we didn't really have anything as big as they do in the US.
Well,
and with the esports, they went straight to NSPN. So is it ESPN? Sorry, I always mix up the name. They went straight to ESPN. So ESPN, they cover so many different sports, but as well they cover esports as well. So
right, but that's where some of this may come into play because, and I don't exactly know how this works, but BT do show some of ESPN's content in the UK. Like
Tiddlywinks,
baseball and other bits and bobs. But yeah,
dodgeball.
It used to be a slightly clearer distinction. At one point we did have, for a short period of time, some ESPN channels, but they seem to have been, like when BT launched its whole sports things, they seem to get all of that and get all that across. I mean, one of the reasons that I went with BT Sport is they've got all the UFC stuff, which I quite like. I don't know if that came on ESPN because I think that's a separate American channel, but then some of the other stuff, I think a lot of the other stuff that's on BT Sports 3 normally, like the baseball and stuff, I generally think is ESPN content, but it's a bit less well defined than it used to be, basically. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that I find interesting there, whether they'll actually bother, because they've started showing, BT were the ones that showed the Champions League final in
PlayStation VR.
So I'll be interested to see if they actually do anything with that, because that might be interesting, maybe. Okay. I don't know. And maybe that gives it like another thing to do, but I don't even know if that's something they're considering with this, basically, because it doesn't really add too much to it, obviously.
Okay.
Unless they were playing a VR game and they found a way of streaming the VR content as well, but that might be interesting.
Well, the initial partnership with BT, that's actually wrapped up now. That's actually started already. That started on August the 1st.
Yeah.
And that's running till the 3rd of September.
So that's fairly short.
Yeah, that's pretty short, but who knows if that will carry on
it might
going
just
forward.
Be a little tester to see how much audience it pulls in, basically.
Yeah, so like I say, it shows on BT, I've got to stop saying BBC, BT Sport 3, and they're basically they'll be showing all their tournaments, and then on the 3rd of September, that's when it's going to wrap up in the eSports Arena in London, which I think, I can't remember where it is now. It's like Fulham Broadway, isn't it? It's a Fulham Broadway Odeon, I think.
So, yeah. But yeah, one thing I was going to pick you up on slightly as well is in terms of TV coverage of video games, in terms of news coverage these days, one of the best people at it actually is the BBC, I'd say.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
They do cover stuff through Click occasionally, but more than that, they've got actual coverage of people doing that stuff, and that's actually quite good. So,
okay.
Anyone that hasn't caught that, it's usually on iPlayer, and it's also available in snippets, I think, on YouTube, but yeah, just generally online, possibly.
Doesn't a regular Dave do some freelance stuff for BBC Games?
I'm not sure. The one that I know is spacing on her first name at the moment. Julia Hardy.
Ah, okay.
She does a lot of their stuff, and she knows her stuff, and is definitely well qualified to talk about it, and is a good presenter as well, I think. So, and she did stuff before for Challenge TV when they had stuff as well. But I actually think the BBC format's generally, it's like a bit more news coverage format type thing. But and they tend to cover like the bigger events and the odd game here and there, and then have Julia in the studio to chat about things occasionally. But I think that works quite well, and that's, as I said, from a news perspective and kind of like features about events and other bits and bobs, that's quite good generally, sort of thing.
Okay.
But anyway, also, one other thing, point of reference, we really shouldn't have forgot this film, because it's got Red in the title, Colin.
I knew it was Red something.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn. What was that video game that was similar to Red Dawn by THQ and then Crytek, I think?
Oh, you mean the whole Korean invasion thing.
Yeah. What was that one?
Homefront.
Homefront.
And then
it always reminds me of Homefront.
Recently.
Yeah. Not great games.
Flattered to Deceive, I think, was especially the first game's problem. Like, it looked really nice, and the opening cutscene was really strong, and then gameplay,
Anyway, that, after some weird 1950s noises, that is the news for this week. I did say it was a slow news week, and we stretched out as much as we could. If we stretched it any further, then that pizza would break in the centre, and we'd have to fold it over and create a kind of news calzone.
I do have a small update to add, though.
Oh, sure, go for it.
Just as a kind of amendment, I always get that word, addendum.
Tim's addendum update.
Yeah, but just we talked about Tiny Tracks last week on the show. A game I quite liked, but was really hard. And just coincidentally, literally after I got off the show, we went on Twitter and saw that the news is breaking that basically they are planning. I don't know if it's actually taking hold yet, but they are planning on releasing a patch which actually makes some of the first levels easier for first-time gamers. So it's something that obviously was more than just me saying it, unless they're fans of the show and went, well, if Tim says it, we're going to change it right now. Announce it.
I doubt that, as they made the announcement before the show came out.
There you go. But yeah, like as I said, it was probably more than me that was saying similar things about that. So yeah, good to hear that that's becoming a bit easier at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, there you go. Anyway, updated.
Okay, so we've had the news, we've had the update.
Yeah, there was
Singular.
no updates, no plurals.
So without Dan, we've got no Destiny or PUBG to talk about. And sadly, I have been so flipping busy, just absolute massive workload this week. So
you can fill in for Dan a bit, though.
I haven't played a single game this week.
Just go on about how PCs are the
PCs. I'll tell you, Tim. PCs are great.
Have you built your own PC?
I have built several PCs actually. I used to work in IT. Yeah, PCs are great because you can play Minesweeper. And you don't have Minesweeper.
Yeah. Why don't you tell me Minesweeper was on? I don't think it is anymore. And they don't. Actually, is it?
No anymore. But you do get Microsoft Solitaire.
Well, whoop-de-doo.
With Xbox achievements.
Oh, great. A game I can play for free online anyway. Brilliant.
Well, you do play it for free, and you get achievements. Chivos.
Good.
I'm glad we got that out of the way. Tim,
how much I like an achievement.
You've been sent a new game, a new VR game, and you wish to talk about this new VR game.
I was sent a code for a lovely looking game called Dino Frontier.
Psychiatrist.
And I have to say, like, it... again, it might be one of those things that doesn't quite translate as well when you're watching the trailers, although actually the trailers look quite good. But it's got a kind of cartoony style to it, and that pops really well in VR. It's basically a God sim type thing, but a kind of mini God sim. They refer to you as Big Mare throughout the whole thing, and basically you're overseeing a kind of frontier town, out in the Wild West.
Yeah.
But you've also got dinosaurs.
Which makes sense.
And basically, to start out with, you've just got a couple of humans, and you kind of figure they're representing more than, just the amount of people you get. But overall, I think at the end of the game, you have like 8 people. So there's not that many people to kind of manage. And you've probably got up to a dozen buildings in total by the end of the game. There's not masses of things to do, but you're planting down your buildings on a plot of land that you've got in front of you. But you kind of want, this is one thing I struggled with, like the controls for it are basically all move control based. So you're using 2 move controllers, and they act as your left and right hand.
Okay.
And that's generally fine, and you can do this thing where you're basically pulling and pushing them together to zoom in and out. That kind of works fine. Where I found it a little bit odd, where you were trying to zoom in and out and spin at the same time, and I kind of learned throughout the process of the game, just stop spinning. Like, don't spin anything around. The whole game can be operated just from, looking at things in front of you, and ended up moving the position of my buildings to better suit that as I got slightly deeper into the game, basically.
Okay.
As I said, it's a God sim type thing, and all the little people from the town refer to you as, like, big mayor or big guy.
Ryback the mayor.
Yeah, there's one like overall criticism that I've heard from a few quarters, and that is a general criticism that I think kind of holds up. It's a bit on the short side. I have heard people talking about 3 to 4 hours. Like, I don't know how much they rushed through it more than I did, but it was definitely more of the kind of 6 to 8 or even more than that possibly type thing.
That's not too bad. I mean, that's okay in comparison to God games of the like of Black and White and Populous and that does seem a bit naff. But for a VR experience,
yeah, it's a fairly lengthy VR experience, and there's enough variety and charm and stuff like that, and we'll come on to that in a second. But the only problem with that length of time is the game is £30, and that's on the pricier side for a VR game at the moment. And as I said, I got a review code for it, so
it's kind of weird the way the VR pricing's gone, because it's kind of like do you remember when iPhone first came out and the App Store launched, and Square Enix were making full-blown RPGs for mobile phones and selling them at like $15.99, and then Angry Birds comes out and it's 69p. I think it's 59p actually to begin with. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, no one would download an app unless it was 59p. It's like, I'm not paying, what's this, £2.50? I'm not paying that. I want a 59p app.
Well,
and it's kind of like gone that with VR, because like there's these huge experiences, and they're like, and you go, what? £40, £30, I'm not paying. I want a £15, £20 game for my VR.
Yeah, and I don't know, that price point is a bit more, I'll just buy that, fine, kind of, like it's a bit easier to jump in at that point. I do think there are a number of things that justify this price point in terms of like production value and things you get out of the game. The only additional problems to that is there is not much reasons for replayability. Like, once you play through the game once, you've kind of seen everything it will do, and there's not even very many incentive reasons from I got 90% of the trophies the first time through, and I think one of them didn't work properly, kind of thing. I mean, there's not that much to that, and unlike in other sim games, you've got a reason to go beyond, you could almost go forever in them type thing, you know what I mean? And there's nothing that really justifies you playing past. There's like a final boss you beat in the game, and I beat him first time, and I have heard other people saying that he was easy, so it wasn't a very tough fight to get through, and I may have been overpowered by the time I got to it, but you didn't really, I probably could have gone to it a bit earlier.
Well, of course, the game only lasts 3-4 hours, and you've boosted up to 5-6, so you must be well OP.
Well, no, I mean, I estimated that I played it for probably nearer 8 hours than 6, I reckon, just off the top of my head. But then when people were talking about it, sure, I was like, I don't know, maybe I did but as I said, I think I messed around in it a little bit more than other people might. But then I was exploring things and doing things and ignoring what the thing was saying. The only other thing I'll say is that you will see everything throughout the game, because it's a little bit handholdy. It's constantly got like a narrator who is good-humoured and kind of it's not necessarily good-humoured. He just sounds funny in what he says. This is kind of thing.
Does he have a Spanish or Mexican accent?
No, he's got that kind of Western drawl kind of thing. He's just just constantly telling you, like, oh, you need to put out a law and you need to do this. And he's always telling you what you should do next. And if you're trying to ignore him, he'll keep repeating that as well. Type of thing. It sounds like I got a bit complaining, but coming on to the really good things that I do think help justify the price, and we'll come back onto price a little bit more in a moment as well. But generally, it's good humoured. It's not like hysterically funny, but it had me like constantly chuckling and smiling, and like there's a lot of music in the game, and that's of like it's all one person having done a load of songs, and it's almost as if you're sitting around the campfire, like listening to this guy play the guitar and play these tunes type thing. And there's actually a lot of that music, and there's like the smaller section of the music, because there's basically one main theme that we've actually got permission to play it out at the end of the show, so you can hear that at the end of the show. I won't go on that too much. But then there's an end song that's quite cute that I won't spoil type thing, because it's got potential like spoilers in it because it's just quite funny. But there's other bits of music throughout the game, and a lot of that actually comes in the kind of menu hold screens between you going. Basically, there's three different areas. There's the town that I was describing before, where you're making all your buildings. But you can also make three other types of buildings that will take you to other locations. One of those is the Mayor's Retreat, which takes you to the farm, and you can then farm more resources. Basically, in the main game, the two resources that you've got are just wood and food. And food comes from different forms. Some of it grown that your workers will then go out and pick for you, and then the other food you can find is by like beating up dinosaurs and getting meat from the kind of fight, basically. And throughout the game, there's things attacking your town occasionally dinosaurs, occasionally like a team of bandits will come and you've got to like defend your town. And all your people are generally good at different tasks, and will have different skills depending on kind of what their natural attributes are and then what they level up on type thing.
Okay.
But all of your townspeople will get on and just do a task that needs doing, but they're not always good at like prioritizing tasks and doing things efficiently. So you've kind of got to check up on them, sort of thing. Right. So you're like, why is my sheriff making wood? You should be riding around the town on your little dino, patrolling and making sure that everything's all right, kind of thing. And why, if you've gone for food here, have you not then gone and slept afterwards? Because they're all things that kind of run out and you've got to keep an eye on type thing. But as I said, they're not very good at like critical pathing between those things and efficiently doing those things. So if someone's tired and hungry, they'll go until their like tiredness meter runs down and then they'll go sleep. But then they'll go back to work and then their hunger meter will go down and then they'll go back for food. So it's a good idea when people are in town to like check, okay, what else do you need while you're here type thing? Okay, go there. And it makes them overly more efficient than they would be anyway, kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing that you're doing with your people, and you're like trapping dinosaurs so that you can then use them around town. The first dinosaur you get like just pops out a couple of dinosaur eggs every now and again and adds to your food supply. Other dinosaurs will like water your trees, because otherwise you've got a watering can and you need to water the crops that everyone's kind of picking up. And in a lot of cases, the watering can is one of those things where it's like a really big tool that you like hold in your hand when you pick it up from a little building, and it becomes a massive version of it, and you're then pouring it on the trees and the shrubs to kind of grow them back. Mm-hmm. And there's other big tools like it's got like a massive hammer type thing whenever you upgrade something. So you choose to upgrade a building, and you've got to pick up this big wooden mallet and kind of hammer it on the top of it a few times to actually upgrade it. Where it's really good is it's got really nice kind of mechanics, well thought out for working in VR and working with the Move controllers. And gameplay wise, you're like, okay, this is the way to make a virtual reality Move controlled sim game. Okay. This is it. Like they've set a benchmark. In any other game that I see now in this type of genre will have to either do things this way or better, kind of thing. I mean, like this is, as I said, the benchmark in that type of game, both in terms of like a lot of the production values, in terms of the graphics, the music and the humor, but then also in terms of the interface side of things, in terms of how you interact with the objects. When you're actually like choosing to like upgrade things or get new people, you've got this menu off to the side, and I'll come back to the menu in a minute because that's something else that I think it is another benchmark. But generally you're like picking. It's almost a stick with kind of a horizontal platform across it that's got like different characters on it or different buildings, and then you pick that building or character off of that thing. Look at it in your hand. You can get more detail of people if you pick them up and look at them.
Right.
And you get all their stats, and that works quite well. And just the building mechanic and pulling things off, those things, it's a good way of doing the options. But the menus are permanently like just out of your peripheral vision. Like it's got like 3 menu options on each side, and at any point in time, you can just turn and see that menu. So you turn to the right, you've got the menu on the right. Turn to the left, you've got the menu on the left. And that is a fantastic way of doing things in VR, basically.
I know. You say you sort of look to see those. Is that stationary, or can you move those? Is it kind of like tilt brush?
No, they're always there, but they're kind of just out of your vision, so they don't bother you until you turn to look to them, and then they're right there. Like it means that you don't have to search for a menu button. Which
I like you say they don't bother you until you turn. It's like I've forgotten about my menu turn.
Menu. I've been scared by a menu. But yeah, as I said, I think just the user interface side of things is like expertly designed. Like in terms of, I haven't seen another game do it as well, and I expect multiple other games to steal this in the future. It makes sense in this game when you're kind of not having to rapidly turning, but when you are kind of repeatedly going into menus. But it's something I'd like to see for like a map option and stuff like that in other games. And as I said, I can see other games like just stealing this and this. It works better possibly when you're not, looking around and shooting things possibly kind of thing. But yeah, I expect other games in similar genres to steal this idea. There's a couple of things I kind of went into and then backed away from. The different areas that you can go to are kind of a bit more action-based. There's the farm, obviously, which isn't that action-based, where you're just like sowing crops and picking them and getting gold. And basically, the 2 resources that you can get from there and the other place I'm coming on to is like gold and stone. And they're the things that you really need to kind of upgrade all your buildings in town and all of that stuff. And then to build new buildings as well, basically.
Right.
So yeah, that really helps like develop your town, and you get a little bit of that every time you go into the farm. But the main way of doing it is going to the mine. And at the mine, it's kind of a tower defense type thing. So you really have had to leveled up your people quite well in terms of their fighting skills. And you don't get to bring any dinosaurs with you when fighting in this, because in the main game, in the main town, when you're defending your town against bandits and dinosaurs and stuff, you can put someone on a dinosaur, and then they'll take the damage before the dinosaur does, kind of thing.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, so watching the trailer for this game, there's, as you say, dinosaurs that are being ridden by people. Pretty cool. Is there other uses for the dinosaurs? Are we using them as sort of tools?
Well, as I said, every single dinosaur has like a use that extra use that it does. Some of them are just really good at fighting, like the little raptor type thing and the T-Rex, so your main kind of attackers. But then all of them do other things, like well, it's not the Stegosaurus, but one of the like bigger, more armored type things. It might be in the Triceratops type thing, but that boosted the defense of all your other dinosaurs in a certain zone around it type thing. One of them, I think, heals your town people.
Okay, so it's more
another one.
This is more abilities than uses. I was thinking more like, so in God games, there's a lot of building to it. So would you be using a Triceratops to move blocks, or
no, not that type of thing.
It's literally just combat stuff.
Yeah, and everyone, all the townspeople and all the dinosaurs will just get on and do their duty when they're doing it. There's another one that like they all help you do things that until that point you had to do all of it yourself, and they assist you in doing that. So there's the one that gives you a bit more food, there's one that waters your trees, there's one that picks up the wood that's been harvested by the other people
that's
otherwise
close.
You have to physically pick up yourself and put in the sawmill. So and as I said, they assist and they help and they make everything run a bit more efficiently, basically. And all the dinos were like a good addition, and you kind of have to like build up from like a small dino and go and get bigger and bigger, because each time you're trying to capture a dino, you have to stun him first. So you have to kind of beat him up a little bit first. He gets stunned, you drop a cage on his head, and then take him back to your training pit in town, basically.
Okay. So it's not like Flintstones.
No.
Okay.
they're not like...
That's the longest way for setting up that joke.
Right. Yeah, they're not like running cars and bits and bobs. They're like helping you around town, and you can ride them in combat and all that type of stuff. But yeah, also when you're going to the mine, as I was mentioning before, you're mining for resources, and basically the way they've got it set up is there's 4 different ports where you can mine from. And at the start, you have like 2 people, and then you upgrade to 4 and 6 people. But basically, you're having to mine in between waves of enemies and then defend yourself from those enemies. But the thing I quite liked is basically you upgrade all of the positions, and you're basically plonking someone in like a sniping position or plonking them on like a Gatling gun type thing. And you can upgrade all of those positions, but they're persistently upgraded. So the next time you come back to that level, they're already upgraded and you've already got those upgrades done, and the upgrades persist throughout the game type thing. So you eventually get to the point where you've got enough people to be mining constantly, and occasionally pulling them off when you get in the weeds and need a bit more firepower, but generally having at least 2 people mining the time. Even when you've got like 4 people on the mine, you've still got 2 people to man your gun positions and stuff, basically. So, and yeah, that, as I said, was a bit more action orientated, and there's another level a bit like that where you take on the Bandit King, who's the kind of main nemesis in the game type thing. He's the guy that you're fighting in the mine, and he's quite funny and kind of comes in and introduces himself there. But then you fight him in the kind of end battle that kind of ends the game as well, basically.
Okay.
But yeah, as I said, it's really charming. The music's quite good. You'll hear the end theme tune at the end, but some of the other stuff's funnier. There's like little tunes in between the cutscenes, and like basically a lot of those tunes will go on longer than the loading times. And I found myself cursing whenever I accidentally skipped over it and went to continue, because I wanted to hang out and actually hear the song or hear the stupid thing that they were saying on the menu screen, which is rare kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like on the loading screen, like you usually just want to get the hell away from there as quickly as possible. But this was like really entertaining. So yeah, that was good. As I said, it's just puts a smile on your face the whole time. Like every time you pick up one of the little people between your thumb and forefinger, they'll all like, how you doing, big guy? Or like, how's it going, big man? And like this little funny, like little one-liners like that. Like just, and it's just a constant stream of that sort of content throughout. So even though it's a kind of high price of entry, I do think it's very well produced. Like I would quite happily like pay for like DLC that would give me another reason to buy it, to play through the whole game again, because I really enjoyed my time with it, basically. So yeah, it's a recommendation, but possibly that price point, it might scare some people off, basically.
Okay.
Just to come that as a slightly separate subject to jump into as well, there has been a kind of trend of games above the £30 mark, and that's possibly why they came in at 30. But there was a couple of games recently that have come out above £30 on VR. One of them being VR Carts, which came out at £35. They've got quite heavily panned for being that expensive, and have permanently dropped their price to 30.
Yeah, but wasn't it just? I don't think it was just the price, though. Weren't people saying the game wasn't very good?
Quality as well, but yeah. But it's a British developer. I saw it early. I feel kind of sorry for him, but it doesn't look like he.
That's not an
excuse. It's a really hard genre to get into, because you're coming up against something that is like on its 8th version and super polished in Super Mario Kart 8, and everyone's kind of used to that. So it's a difficult genre to be in. Anyway, but yeah, more recently than that as well, Archangel, which is currently $32.99, which is apparently very good. But again, that's on the short side. People are saying 3 to 4 hours for that, if that type of thing. But apparently, it's graphically very impressive. The gameplay is really good. The story, like it's got a lot of meat to it, but just not much game time. But they've announced recently that they're doing a permanent price drop, and that hasn't come into effect yet. But yeah, there does seem to be a kind of pushback at the above £30 VR price at the moment. Basically, that seems to be a good point to go in on. And I don't know. As I said, like the 20 pack, like £20 and below mark, like £15 to £20, is more of an impulse purchase kind of point for me. Even at the moment, there's a game that I quite want on VR. I can't remember the exact title now, but it's something like We Want You to Die or something. Anyway, it's a game that looks good. It's £20, and it's kind of put me off buying it, even though it looks good, it looks fun, and I've heard from Diarmid that it's good as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I just don't know what the answer is for the moment, but just kind of, reporting that fact at the moment that there does seem to be a bit of a pushback on that price point, basically.
Right. I was worried we wouldn't have enough to talk about, but lo and behold, Tim, you did your best.
Yay!
20 minutes on one game. I'm going to recommend a game because I've been sent something and I'm really interested. Okay. If you're a fan of Rick and Morty...
I am a fan of Rick and Morty.
Everyone's a fan of Rick and Morty, it seems.
I'm a bit gutted that the VR game isn't coming to PSVR, probably.
Oh, it would...
it got bought by Google, so...
Yeah, you need the Vive for that, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah, it's like Job Simulator, but with a lot more movement.
Well, it's made by the same people who made Job Simulator.
Exactly.
With Rick and Morty. I guess it's really funny. But
do you know what the company's called?
I did know.
Squanch Tendo.
Squanch Tendo?
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't called that before, I didn't think.
I think that's what they named themselves.
Okay.
But anyway, so if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, and the season 3 has just started, episode 2's out. It's on Netflix. Go watch that. It's really good. There's also
Did you
a
say
game.
Episode 2?
Yeah, episode 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that had come.
Okay, we're going to do some watching after this show.
Good.
There's a new free game called Room of Roylands.
Oh.
Now,
when you say free,
on itch.io, not stolen.
Right.
It's an indie game.
No, I wasn't saying stolen. Free to play?
No, free. Just generally free.
Okay.
Okay, so PC game, go onto itch.io, look for Room of Roylands. The whole basis of this game is there's a nightclub called Room of Roylands, and it is completely filled up with characters voiced by Justin Roiland.
Ooh.
So you got characters from Adventure Time, Rick and Morty, the really weird Back to the Future cartoon that inspired Rick and Morty, Shadowfall, like anything that Roiland's been in. Also, Roiland does a lot of the voices in a lot of VR games as well. So I have to show you some of the stuff he does as well.
Enthusiast.
Yeah, he does a lot of Vive stuff. You'll spot people that sound like Mr. Meeseeks in everything. Mr. Meeseeks are in the game as well. So the whole point is you want to go and have fun in the Room of Royland's nightclub, but you are not a Royland's character, so you have to sneak in and try and get away with being there. It looks pretty cool. Like I say, it's a free game. It's on itch.io, so go check that out, which I'm probably going to do after this show once we've finished watching Rick and Morty.
Woohoo!
Cool. So that is your lot this week. Before we get to the shout-outs, I will quickly say, if you go onto BigRedBarel.com, which is the website which hosts this here podcast, and many other podcasts too, not only can you check out cool new articles and cool new videos, you can also check out other podcasts.
Yay! And there's more other podcasts than there was last week.
We are getting our proverbial together, it seems, because not only is there another episode of the Big Red Barrel Cast,
Barrelcast, no less.
Barrelcast, there is also the Big Red Barrel Boom.
Boom! Did you say boom?
Yes. Sadly, no dogs die on this one, but there's a smelly pirate and a Yoshi Fett.
Do you realise that anyone that's never listened to the show before, you literally just said the sentence, sadly, no dogs die on this podcast?
Sadly, there is no appearance from Dogs Die in Hot Cars, which is the full version of that name.
Yes. That's his full name.
There is a smelly...
That's his name on his passport.
But Tim, there is a Yoshi Fett and a smelly pirate hooker.
A smelly pirate hooker? Brilliant.
I'd really like you to go listen to BRB Boom because one, they're back and that's awesome, and two, I actually edited this episode, which was my first time editing a Boom show.
So make sure he did it right and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Put together properly.
I'm a big fan of Boom, and I've particularly been wanting to work with Yoshi for quite some time, so it's pretty cool. Also, I've got to point a note over because Geekspeak have announced their episode 100 celebration.
100? My wife is 100?
Yep, she's 100 years old now.
That went fast.
Trade her into a younger model.
The hell?
She's going to listen to this and I'm going to get a slap.
That's may work in consoles. Coleman.
Can you not get can you not get like a Wife Pro? A Wife X. Oh, no, wait, that just means ex-wife.
Yeah, ex-wife. Yeah, that you are making me get there properly faster.
Those are readily available. Anyway, so yeah, their 100th episode, they are going to be at the Loading Bar Secret Weapon in Stratford. On Saturday, the 5th of August.
That's
now,
this Saturday.
If you want to go check this out, what they'll be doing is they'll be doing the show at the pub. They'll be recording it so you can listen to it as normal, but they'll also be taking questions on chat and things like that. And you can check out the whole thing on BRB TV's YouTube channel from 8 p.m. UK time. That's British summertime if you want to be more professional about it. And so go check that out because that will be a thing. If you haven't got time to watch the live stream, if you're a bit busy, I'm sure that we'll have the whole thing up on the YouTube channel, and of course the show will come out as normal on the stream. On the feed as well.
On the feed, not in the stream.
Just basically be safe. Go over to BigRedBarel.com, look at all the podcasts, and then follow the subscribe links for whatever device you're using, and subscribe. And then you don't have to worry about looking these things up when we tell you, because you'll just get them automatically downloaded to your phone.
That is a plan,
PC.
Coleman.
Also, while I'm pimping our stuff, go over to facebook.com/BigRedBarel and twitter.com/BigRedBarel. Those are two places you can find us. And also, I believe on Reddit, r/BigRedBarel. We have a subreddit. Our links are going up there as well. There's not a lot of activity. I've just started putting our links there, basically.
Come say hello.
Yeah, come say hi. If you use Reddit, I'm new.
We should work.
I am literally new to Reddit. I've been using it for about a week, so
okay. Be careful in posting our links. I've heard of people getting banned for such behaviour.
Not when it's our own subreddit.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Okay, and Tim, you have a Tabletop Tuesday to talk about?
I do indeed, because Coleman, this Tuesday is a Tuesday.
That's good.
And every Tuesday we have an event called Tabletop Tuesday. I say every Tuesday. There's 2 weeks of the year we don't, but 50 out of 52 ain't bad. And yeah, anyone that wasn't there with us last week, we had Bez Day, and creator Bez himself and the owner of the company Stuff by Bez were showing off his latest game, Wibble++. Thank you very much for coming down, Bez, and sharing your time and teaching game to it. It's the best way for people to learn. But yeah, it was a fun night, and hope everyone had fun that joined us there. It was a good one.
I had fun.
You had fun, Coleman?
Bez is a nice man, and I played Crokinole with new people.
Yay! Crokinole.
And I sustained, I got myself a sporting injury in a game of Crokinole.
You split a nail.
Not a nail, I split my finger.
Oh, okay, that's even worse.
I flicked too hard.
Don't flick too hard, Coleman.
I have very brittle fingers.
The first rule of Crokinole. Second one is you can't lift your bum cheek off the chair. But anyway, this week's game is a real doozy. It's one that Alex absolutely loves, or fell in love with the look of, and we'll have a review up soon, so we'll see if the mechanics back that up. But generally, a game called Dice Forge. And yeah, it does kind of give you a clue as to the mechanics of the game, because basically you're upgrading different sides of your dice, so when you roll it, you're more likely to get a better result. It's kind of got a kind of, I think it's dwarfs, but it's got a kind of fantasy theme to it type thing as well, basically. But yeah, that looks really good. I haven't played it myself yet, but I'm looking forward to doing so, and that looks really good fun. So yeah, come along. Anyone that doesn't know, we have a different feature game every week at Tabletop Tuesday, and you can win a copy of the game just by coming along on a Tuesday and playing with us. We give away a new game every week, and this week's game, Dice Forge, you can win just by coming along and playing. So join us in Loading Bar in Dalston, and come along, play that, and possibly win a copy of the game.
Cool. Dalston, London, on the 8th of August.
Woohoo!
I won't be there.
Details on BigRedBarel.com or meetup/Tabletop Tuesday.
Also on Facebook.com/BigRedBarel.
Oh.
Yeah, where you put all the stuff up on there as well.
The more you know.
The more you know. Tim.
That's me.
We got feedback from listeners. Unfortunately, no iTunes nor any Facebooks, but we do have forums.
We do have forums, and thank you very much to Stealthy Joe, Stingo, and SPMHTV.
Who actually informed us, if you type in BigRedBarel.com/BigRedBarel, it brings you to an old Eurogamer Expo video with Tim, John, and Chris Tudor.
Right, I've no idea where it does that.
Yeah.
No idea at all.
So you can see Tim with slightly less grey hair and John with really long hair and Tudor looking exactly like he does now. Probably less hair, actually, because he's got kids now.
Less hair, but he's also been hitting the gym, I've noticed, from his career as well. So
is he buff?
He might be buff.
Is he well henged?
I don't know this for a fact.
Is he swole?
It might be more buff than he was.
Has he been worshipping the god of Broden?
Possibly.
Cool.
Might be drinking all them protein shakes and stuff.
And on Twitter, thank you to Nelly, Mark, Darren, Brett Bettsgraves, Spencer H, Rob Evans, and Mark Fawcett. Who gave us the Great British Debate thing? Was that Mark Fawcett?
I think it was Mark Fawcett. Yeah, obviously with only two of us this week, we thought we'd duck that.
We have no judge.
Less fun. I mean, I guess we could have done with the two of us and got people to judge us.
Well, we could have, but you spoke for 20 minutes about one single video game.
That was a good thought now. Hey, it was the one game we had to talk about this week.
I thought we were going to take an early night and then, come back revving and raving a go on the next week.
I had Dino Frontier to talk about, Coleman.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
I had a lot to say. And we have a song at the end of the show, too.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here so that people can hear the song.
Cool. We're going to play cool Mexican-sounding cowboyish music.
More Mexican, but okay.
Well, I mean, it reminds me of Red Dead Redemption, where he crosses the river over to Mexico, and that cool music starts playing, and yeah.
I don't remember any dinosaurs in Mexico.
El bandito. El Raptor.
El Raptor.
All right, this has been episode 255 of the Big Red Barrel UK podcast. Thank you ever so much for listening, as you do tend to do each and every week, and we are incredibly appreciative of you listening to this weird dribble that we do. No down again next week, as Tim did say. Hopefully we'll have someone to fill the void, as it were, and then we should get
guest.
Yes, we should get the good doctor back the following week. But for this week, I would like to say I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim, and there might be no one to follow this up after I've said that.
Alex. Go say I've been Alex.
But...
Oh, that'll do. Okay, and until next time, dear listeners, goodbye.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com.